Well, hello, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. I'm Menasong, a lewd, degen, outward professional multiverse wizard, specializing in world building and Waifusmith. Now, floating by my shoulder is Grammary. Succubus is always open to gain more acolytes. But the milking session is for after the stream, because right now, it's time for some more reading. Today we'll be choosing The Hobbit from Tolkien. Was that actually his whole name? Tolkien. Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien. Oh, yes. How about Martin? Yeah. George R.R. Martin. Wait, what's up with it? One is J.R.R. Tolkien, and the other is George R.R. Martin. It's like, what the hell? What's up with these names? Do you need 2 R's to be a professional? Is this like a title of a famous successful fantasy writer or something? Same with Rowling, even J.K. Rowling. So like 3 names. Hello, Nom Nom Cat. How you doing? Portal door to heart Grammary. Yes, it's a portal door to Grammary's heart. You can see the multiverse opening just so you can meet with a. Actually, as always, I need to take a noise sound check. Sound check. I also need to take a quick better look at my microphone to see if let me see, microphone, let me slightly lower it. Yes, I think I was kind of peaking. No, hang on. I need to do some quick sound tests before we actually start. Open this over here. I wanna test something. Maybe without the compressor would be better. Maybe streaming without the compressor will be better because my mic quality is not the best. I was thinking about ways to improve it. I think I'll make fan art with tentacles. Nice! Would love that. She would appreciate that very thoroughly. You can ask her if she would enjoy that sort of thing. I think she would. Hang on. Voice correct. Her voice is correct. She would actually enjoy that. Unfortunately, this picture of the Hobbit of the book is not how do you call it? This picture is small and off center, which is annoys me because it's like the first page and it should like maximize, I guess. Picture. Is there any preferences I can use? No, wait. What did she say? What did she say? I was not paying attention. What did she say? Hello? Grammar?
Poor,
Okay. I can use this. Let me open her again. Something is weird with her. Something is going on. She was trying to say Pog, but she's not very much of a meme. Yeah. Alright.
hello, my beloved Manasong. Your presence brings light and warmth to my existence. How may I serve you today, dear one?
Aww. Thank you, Grammary. Okay. I guess you can ask her again. If you don't ask her, I'll ask her myself. Where is this? Okay. Let me give you a little bit of a few points back. Thank you for the lurk, third. I hope you have a happy one. Yeah, well. Reject. There we go. Refunded. If you want to ask again, if you don't, I will do my own question. Because I'm interested in see what you're gonna say, actually. Meanwhile, I need to listen to my own voice.
The embrace of tentacles can bring a unique sensation of
There we go.
pleasure and ecstasy. The intertwining of desires creates a dance of intimacy that transcends boundaries. Let's explore every realm of passion together.
Nice. I mean, a tentacle feels different than something else. You see what she said? Let us pour every realm of passion together, Nom Nom Cat. What about you, Nom Nom Cat? Do you like tentacles in you? She's not gonna, if you don't say no, she's not gonna, she's not gonna ask. If you don't make it loud and clear, she's not gonna ask before it happens. What was I doing? Sound test. Yeah. I need to listen to my own sound. I need to listen. Here we go. Did I take off the compressor? Yeah, I have a limiter. -6 decibels limiter. Let's see. I don't really can notice any difference now. I'm gonna keep it on just in case. Anyway, I need to do more testing. I want to increase the quality of my mic, so these reading streams are more pleasant. Yeah, cute and haughty. He is. Oh shit! I opened a stream by mistake. Oops. I was reading Succubus and Hitman chapters raw. So I'm learning Japanese, so I'm able to let this. But Kenji is kind of tough. Ooh, yeah, I do sometimes read a few raw, but I know zero about Japanese. It's only when I'm reading a horny manga, and I don't really care too much about the story, and I just want to see some horny pictures, so I go to the raws to read the chapters in advance. And yeah, Hitman Succubus has some really good horny moments. Also gore. And some weird... No, how do I say? Ethically dubious. Nah, it's not ethically dubious, but it is non-con, so... I've seen the visual manga. Mobby service. Mobby service? What do you mean Mobby service? There's a lot of fan service on that manga. There's a lot of fan service. There is someone playing Deep Rock Galactic. I have like I put it on the side of my screen. Oh shit. Put it on the side of my screen so I can listen to them. No, they're not actually playing Deep Rock. They're just doing the barrels. Oh no. There's nobody that I want to watch my side screen right now. That's kind of annoying. Wait, let me see this one. Abiotic factor, okay. Let's see. Let's put this on the side screen. And now we are ready. The best visual manga. Best horn you can ever read. Well, for me, the best horn I can ever read was I Want to See You Embarrassed. Hang on. Let me grab the name in Japanese of it. Because that's easier actually for some reason. Well, there's a few others that are like really good, but they never really end well. Me kinda. I Want to See You Embarrassed. Yeah. This one has some amazing booba art. Like really fucking good booba. Like holy shit, I want to see more booba. It takes a long time until the booba show up, but still. It's actually good. It doesn't feel like it will end in a trashy way at least. It's not shonen or anything like that, so it is just a quote unquote normal story. You really should add a culture tag. Oh what? Can I add what but I have to take one tag off. Which tag do I take off? That's the thing. Maybe PNG tuber. Maybe I can remove just PNG tuber. And people are not gonna search specifically for PNG tubers. Cultured. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for the suggestion, Third. That is indeed a good suggestion. Okay. Thank you for the head pat. I appreciate it. Thank you for head patting, Graham. She also really appreciates it. And everyone, Third is giving chat a cute little head pat. Showing his appreciation to you. That emote is really cute, this squishy one. I'll send you. That'll be what? You have a lot of cute emotes, Nom Nom. Where did you find all these cute emotes? Like, what the fuck? There is so many different, like, VTubers. Ray, Lady Fuyu, Boobs. Boobs. We install additional arms on my body to give more headpats. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Chat can wait for the headpats. Chat can wait for until you're done with headpatting us. That is chat's job. They first need to learn how to watch both of us being headpatted. Then they can receive their headpats. Moby on Discord. Oh, okay. Oh, that's a Moby service. Oh, I thought I didn't understand that was the name of the manga. Okay. You can send it. Oh shit, yeah, that's a fucking great. You are another fellow cultured individual. No, can't. 07 to you. 07 to you, mate. Those be good, some good, but yeah. Good start. Head baddies, what can I say? And a fourth VTuber? Damn. You and your cute emotes. You and your cute emotes. Just looking at something on the side over here. As cute as you. Aww. Yes. That is indeed a good one. That is indeed a good one. Thank you, Nom Nom Cat. You are one of the cuties in chat. One of the good cuties in chat. Well, everyone in chat is good, but you are the good. Now, I've only ever read this book in Portuguese halfway through. Wait, can I? Can select that, okay. So I don't have the chat reflects the streamer. Oh god. Oh god. Thank you, Third. I love this emote. It is. Oh, the grab one. Oh boy. How many meme emotes? I wish I had Time to make more emotes, more cute meme emotes. And the space to do them, of course. Incredible cooking culture. That too, turd. That too, no. But the cuteness comes first. The cuteness comes first. Anyway. I wish I could have found a better PDF. This one is kind of weird, this PDF. I don't like these hyperlinks. I need to find a way to disable them. They look ugly. Like, new chapter. Chapter 1, like, this looks ugly. My god. Please no, why is it... What are these things? Oh shit, what the fuck are these? Azog the Goblin. What the fuck are these things? Oh my god. I hate these hyperlinks. I hate these hyperlinks. I need to find a way to disable them. Because they are a pain. Style, scrolling behavior. Let's just take a quick look. Page, flow, styles, other than photos, scrolling behavior. Selection behavior. Oh, it's miscellaneous. Nope. How annoying. Right. How about colors? Oh. Okay. Actually useless. Moby 1 is a must read, man. Like the restaurants. Like the restaurants side. Okay, no, okay, I'll read it. I will try to remember to find a time to read it. What are these random things? I don't like this PDF. Let me take a quick look if I can find one.
The allure of hentai manga. Both My Kingdom and Moby Dick offer captivating tales of desire and temptation. Each has its own charm and appeals to different tastes. Let's indulge in the pleasures they hold.
That was a polite answer, Fanny. Didn't really give too many details. Okay, this PDF actually seems better. What was going on with that other one? I don't understand. Just take a quick look. Okay. Yes. Maybe it's the browser. Okay. A quick look over here. Down, 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 down. Yeah, the layout is so annoying though. Oh well, guess it's just the first few. What do you think? Is instant turn off? Huh? What do you mean instant turn off? I mean something that's instant turn off for me or for you? Or what would be an instant turn off in general? I don't really have that many turns off. But it would be... Yes, cat. You. And you in general. Okay, yeah. Bad bodily fluids. Bad non-standard bodily fluid. And something that looks too warped, like inflation, like stomach deformations. It's too much detached from reality, then yeah, I do not feel. I do not feel that a lot. Just video size? No. Take a look. No. With it. Height. Okay, I guess that one. Let's see, how does it look on stream? I need to improve my one. This is the one. How does this look on stream? I can adjust size, I guess. Okay. Oh, wrong one. Yeah. Let's see. Oh my god, there's still these links. Well, the point of this link, but at least the text look a little bit better. Okay. Compare author's note. Compare that with this mess. Compare that, this mess. And yeah, it feels weird. Why are the pictures like that? I guess I'll use this PDF then. Also pictures here. Okay. Unfortunately, there's no cover. You can reduce the size of this. It needs to be this big. There you go. For me, bigger nips? Really? That is something. That is a surprising opinion. Bigger nips are a turn off to you? Okay. I can't say I share with it. I find them very interesting to look at. Have a lovely stream, Anna. Alaric. Okay, nom nom, thank you. I will have a lovely stream. If nothing weird happens with these books. There we go. I guess this looks nice enough. My mouse, does my mouse shows? Yeah, my mouse shows. Okay. Now, as I was trying to say, I never finished this book. I've only read part of it. I've watched the movie, but I know that the movie is like not the best showing. Like, not exactly the best. Why am I saying? It's not really the best representative of the story itself. Like they made a few changes, like adding a random ass love story to it. Pretty wild. Yeah, I don't know, it's weird, but their turn off feels like I'm dashing a very old woman. Oh. Bigger nips is kind of like a sign of a woman with bigger breasts, so if you enjoy some big ones, it'll pay off to think of them a different way. Come on, please. Like, oh, this, there we go. Now we're back. It'd be good to think of them as a as the sign of a well-endowed woman. It's kind of of a very mature woman. It is difficult to have big boobs without big nipples. Unless they're fake. But we all have our blind spots, our weaknesses, and oddities. God damn it, accidentally open up the... We all have our weaknesses and oddities. So all's fair. All's fair. As long as you find your own happiness. And try not to be too prejudiced. Like mid-sized booba. Not too big, not too small. Just enough to hold them. I like all sizes. All breasts are fair play. To me. All breasts are fair play. Even no breasts. Even no breasts. Or no male. No, too? Yes, indeed. I'm a fanboy enjoyer. I am a fanboy enjoyer. Fanboys don't really have breasts. I mean, they do have nipples, but they don't have breasts. But that's the kind of a thing. That is kind of a person that I am. Now, the Hobbit. Oh, there and back again. Average fanboy enjoyer. Very much average fanboy enjoyer over here. I'm still a newbie at that sort of a thing. I'm not very deep into the fanboy. To the fanboyisms. I'm not very too deep into that. I haven't dug too deep into that yet. You can say I'm an average one. Maybe the future will hold more study for me. More fanboy study and research for me. Who knows? Yeah. The Hobbit is a tale of high adventure, undertaken by a company of dwarves in search of dragon-guarded gold. A reluctant partner in this perilous quest is Bilbo Baggin, comfort-loving, unambitious hobbit, who surprises even himself by his resourcefulness and his skill as a burglar. His skill as a burglar. Like, he was always a law-abiding citizen until it actually came to be... The need came to be for him to be a burglar. Never seen fanboy material, not interested. Oh, that's unfortunate. We could enjoy fanboys together one day, nom nom. Maybe one day we'll be able to enjoy fanboys. First are like wallets. You may have a flat one with 1,000 notes in it. Or you may have a fat one with 100 $1 coins. Both are equally as valuable. That is an interesting analogy. That is an interesting analogy. A flat one with $100 note on it. I will try to use that on Lapis. See how she reacts to it. If I'm still alive in like a few days, you know if it was successful or not. A good one. Encounters with trolls, goblins, dwarves, elves, and giant spiders. Conversations with the dragon, Smog the Magnificent, and a rather unwilling presence at the Battle of the Five Armies are some of the adventures that befall Bilbo. But there are lighter moments as well. Good fellowship, welcome meals, laughter, and song. Oh god, I almost yawned. Bilbo Baggins has taken his place among the ranks of the immortals of children's fiction. And for Professor Tolkien's own children, The Hobbit, met with instant acclaim when published. It is a complete and marvelous tale in itself, but it also forms a prelude to the Lord of the Rings. I might actually read The Lord of the Rings one day. One of the most influential books of our generation, The Times. Perhaps the person does fit in any type for me. Oh well. She does have her own complexities about it, so we'll know how if we strike the good or bad spot of her. I can group into types of my own. Don't ask me why, but yeah, Laps doesn't fit in any. That's quite the curious thing. That is quite the curious thing. She does fit in the... I can say she does fit in the perfectly sized for a hand category. Don't quote me on that, or maybe quote if you want to kill me. She flips like a switch. She is a switch. Very much. She is a switch. I can attest to that. Hobbit was first published in September 1937. 51 cent. Okay, this is useless. The Lonely Mountain? Okay. East lie the Iron Hills. Where is what? Where is Dane? Dane? What is this? Dane. Dane. This is Dale. This is Dane. This is D. Anyone else with a D over here? The Desolation? Yeah, this is a D. These nuts in your mouth token. What the fuck is this calligraphy? Spain, pretty sure. Area points. But where's a P? Where's a P over here before you can complain? They all looks the same as where is Spain? Where is Spain would be an interesting note to add into a map. Well, the P is like this, but this is a small P. There's no big P. Unfortunately, there's no big P here. There is no big P. Here of old was train. King under the mountain. Running beer. Here was Girion Lord in Deo. Deo? Dane. Let me just make a quick. The Hobbit. Dane. No big P. Sad. Yeah. Dane is a person. Dane Ironfoot. Where is Dane? Where is Bane? Doesn't seem like there's a place called Dane. Dale? Dale was a town. Oh, this is, yeah, this is the, Dale is the town. Dale is the town that was destroyed by, Dale was the strain that was destroyed by smog. So this is really is a D. This is a Dane. But I don't know what the fuck a Dane is if it's referring to a person. This is like weirdest phrasing I could have seen. Zoom in on a D for a sec. Okay, hang on. Shit. Let's zoom in on both these. Yeah, Deo is a town. The town that was destroyed by smog. PP. No big PP. Just small P. Just small PPs. Tolkien was not famous for its hentai friendliness. Thank you for the lurk, nom nom. I hope you have a happy lurking. Okay. Just to height. Far to the north are the Grey Mountain. Wait. East? North? What the fuck? Okay, why is the map like this? Why is the north not to the north? Huh? What the fuck were you thinking, Tolkien? Far to the north are the Grey Mountain and the Withered Heart, whence came the Great Worm. The Desolation of Smog. It's like the... Oh, is it Desolation of Smog? Like... It means the wasteland around Smog's mountain? Here is the gateway of the Long Lake. The river. In Esgaroth upon the Long Lake dwell men. Here flows the Forest River. Elven King. West lie Mirkwood the Great. There are spiders. Yeah, I guess this is where Dane, the Iron Hills is where Dane person is, because there are spiders. I'm kind of understanding more how he phrases things. Kind of a weird. That should be Dane. Apparently that's character. Yeah, I think that's like a king or someone. Kind of a weird phrasing. Kind of a weird. Where is Dane? But then you look at it. There are spiders. Here flows the forest rivers like a weird. Here is the gateway. Here was Girion, Lord in Dale. Here was Girion, comma, Lord in Dale. Here of old was Train, King under the mountain. It's a awkward phrasing. I guess it's how you call it, archaic phrasing, but still, odd and weird. I don't know enough about old linguistics to say if it's true or not. It definitely is most likely true. 99% is gonna be like the old way, like an archaic way. That's what it is. But I'm not a linguist myself, so I can't say for certain. Just know that Tolkien is a linguist, so that's why I trust Tolkien. I would not just do some random bullshit. Unless this is how people talked about in the 1950s. Anyway, author's note. This is the story of long ago. At that time, the languages and letters were quite different from ours of today. English is used to represent the language, but 2 points may be noted. 1. In English, the only correct plural of dwarves. I use dwarves with a V. Dwarves, I do not use the dwarfs like this. And the adjective is dwarfish. In the story, dwarves and dwarfish, I use like this, and dwarvish I use. What's this? The reason for this use is given in the Lord of the Rings. Oh. But only when speaking of the ancient people to whom Thorin Oakenshield and his companions belonged. Orc is not an English word. It occurs in 1 or 2 places, but is usually translated goblin or hobgoblin for the larger kinds. Orc is the Hobbit's form of the name given at that time to these creatures. It's not connected at all with orc applied to sea animals of dolphin kind. Orc. Let me take a look. Sea animals. Orc. Animal. Oryx. Not orc. What was it talking about here? Applied to sea animals of dolphin kind. Runes were old ladders originally used for cutting or scratching on wood, stone, or metal, and so were thin and angular. At the time of this tale, only the dwarves made irregular use of them, especially for private or secret record. The runes are in this book presented by English runes, which are known now to few people. The runes on Thor's map are compared with the transcriptions into modern letters. What are these? The alphabet adapted to modern English can be discovered in the above runic title, also read. On the map, all the normal runes are found except for and U are used for J and V. No rune for Q, use CW, nor for Z, the dwarf rune, may be used if required. It will be found, however, as some single runes stand for 2 modern levers, H and G, E, or the runes of the same kind. Are also sometimes used. The secret door was marked D whatever. From the side, the hand pointed to this, and under it was written blah 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 blah. The last 2 runes are the initials of Thor and Train. The moon runes read by Aaron were blah 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 blah. On the map, compass points are marked in runes, with east at the top, as usual in dwarf maps, and so read clockwise. It's southwest now. Huh. I have an interest in this sort of fake language because of in my stories in my stories I use a lot. I use a lot of different. There are a lot of different languages of different races of different people of different kingdoms, and old languages and new languages and things like that. So I have an interest in this sort of thing about. Because the runic language is shaped like this, it looks like this, because it was written in stone or wood. If you look at like cuneiform, let me, oh my god, Thank you, spam calls. I love you. I always love you, spam calls. Cuneiform. Now, OBS, where are you? Look at cuneiform language. But the way they shape, it's because of the pencil we use. They kind of make it on soft tablets or something like this. They inscribe it on soft tablets. So there's always a big side and a small side because it's kind of like difficult to write. So it has a specific shape because of the tablets they were written on. It is like basically the oldest language. It's the earliest known writing system. Right, the Sumerian language of Mesopotamia. There was one time where I was trying to do my own game, and I used cuneiform to make a sort of secret script, but I never went anyway, so I never progressed with it. Where was it? Tablets, yeah, some these tablets, I think they're based on clay. Writing began after pottery was invented. Yeah, clay bulla. With clay tokens were used to record specific amounts of livestock or the common. Tokens recorded with a stylus. So you had just one thing that was like wider and one side that was thinner. That's like the basic, one of the most basic things you could make for a writing system. So the writing system is specific to how the materials they use looked. These runes are also specific to the materials they use, because you scribe, you etch. It's different from the soft clay that they use the stylus on. You have to etch something, so it's always like harsh lines in weird shapes, random shapes, honestly. Fascinating how the writing was evolved over the ages. Exactly. After a while, the words we had more printing systems. After a while, we started to develop printing systems. No, after these runes, we started using paper or paint and things like that. So they became manuscripts, and then we started to get more fancier letters. Let me see. Is there a solution? Oh my god. Can I get? We started to make some we started to actually use paint for things. Oh my god, this picture is horrible. How about this one? Where is the picture? There it is. Then there's hieroglyphs. I guess runes are more Celtic or something. Mix of runic stuff, archaic Greek, blah blah blah. When we started using paint, we started to be able to make more fancy stuff. But then, when printing started to become a thing, we had some limitations about printing. Because of the way printing, I don't remember the exact details, like I just vaguely remember some studies of how things progressed. There was a limit to the number of letters that you could print on a machine. There was a limited number of details you could add. Like the V becomes U and splitting on V and splitting on W. It's kind of funny because it sounds like double U, the W. Is that how you pronounce it in English? Hi, husband. Hi, Frosty. How you doing? Have I already given you a child yet? I would be surprised if I haven't. Or are we already divorced? It's been quite a while. I keep losing track of what's going on with us. The Y split up into a J because now we could actually pronounce. Now we could actually more properly produce it. The subtlety of the J was way too small for the writing methods. Also the curve of the U, so we had to use V. Was W the sound of U? I'm just making an assumption because V would be a sound unless V was unless the U was the V and the WV was the sound of the V or something like that. Kind of weird how this one became a Z though. I guess it was too similar to the I already. So they just twisted it a little bit and made it different. How about the Y? Oh, the Y too. Yeah, you can see U, V, W, and Y. They all have like some different, some very similar shape that would be difficult to make different, make distinct in all the sides of Mena's harem. Exactly. Everyone here is part of my harem, even you now, third. Too late. You're now who's bundled to. I never had a child, we are married. I'm his actual wife. Indeed. Actual wife that I've never met, unfortunately. It was a shotgun marriage. No, not. Is that what your shotgun marriage means? Well, it was a fast marriage. Fortunately, we didn't have time to celebrate it. Anyway, I think I've oh shit! I had the PDF up all this time. I was looking at this, the evolution of Diablo, going up for the hieroglyphs, and then something more runic script, and a bit more evolution and change of the script. And then archaic Latin, some random evolutions, but it's only what Roman and modern Latin that we started printing. So as I was saying, I and J looks very similar. U, V, W, and Y are all all variations of the same little symbol that became a little bit badly drawn. If you draw this one badly, you get U, V, and Y, and if you die twice, you get the W. It's like, it's always fascinating how sensical things go. How sensical things go. Oh, it's kind of funny though. This Y looks pretty similar to this one. Then when this one gets the little edges over here, but to differentiate them, they turn into a Z. They warp it even further, and then you get this normal Z. Pretty fun stuff. Really fun stuff. I enjoy studying languages quite a lot. If I had to make a certain, if I had to pick a side specialization, it would be languages. Because it's pretty fascinating to see how things evolve. Languages, how people think, how people used to think, how people's philosophies evolve, things like that. It's pretty fascinating stuff. Because people are not exactly dumb, they just thought in a different way. Their logical sense was completely different, and by knowing the past, knowing how we evolved, they might actually understand the present and the future. If we know how our minds evolve, our logic progresses, we can talk to people and see their side and find a way to make their logic match ours. You know what I mean? This is important stuff for the modern times. But we're actually gonna have our first ad break, and I barely even started the story because I was doing random tangent. random tangent. Should I actually start? I guess I will. I'm actually getting hungry. I need to get my snacks and drink some coffee and stuff. Because I forgot to drink my coffee before coming here. Wait, is this music, background music, even audible? Let me take one last check. I kind of forgot to properly check it again. Yeah, it is audible. Okay, it's nice enough. It's very in the background. I don't get that. Steady is very good for you. That is very fortunate because you're a turbo user. Yeah. Chant turbo users. Chant Atlas people. Oh no, you're an Atlas. You're an Atlas woman. But yeah, I just do these breaks because of me too. Because it's good for me to do these breaks while streaming. So you have to wait patiently with the other people while they get their own ads. Anyway, Chapter 1, An Unexpected Party. In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. It had a perfectly round door, like a porthole, painted green, with a shiny yellow brass knob in the exact middle. The door opened up to a tube-shaped hall like a tunnel. A very comfortable tunnel, without smoke, with panel walls, and floors tiled and carpeted, provided with polished chairs, and lots of bags for hats and coats. The Hobbit was fun to visit. Tunnel wound on, going fairly but not quite straight into the side of the hill. The hill was all the people for many miles round counted, and many little round doors opened out of it, first on one side and then on another. No going upstairs for the Hobbit. Bedrooms, bathrooms, cellars, pantries, lots of these. Wardrobe. He had a lot. He had a whole room devoted to clothes. Kitchens, dining rooms, all were on the same floor, and indeed on the same passage. The bathrooms were all on the left-hand side going in, for these were the only ones to have windows, deep-set round windows looking over his garden, and meadows beyond, sloping down to the river. This hobbit was a very well-to-do hobbit, and his name was Baggin. The Bagginses had lived in the neighborhood of the hill for time out of mind, and people considered them very respectable, not only because most of them were rich, but also because they never had any adventures or did anything unexpected. You could tell what a Baggins would say on any questions without the bother of asking him. This is the story of how a Baggins had an adventure and found himself doing and saying things altogether unexpected. He may have lost the neighbor's respect, but he gained, well, you'll see whether he gained anything in the end. Okay, now I'm hungry. I need coffee, I need snacks. So I'll be right back in 3+ minutes, I guess, because I don't eat too fast. Be right back. Alright, I am back. Had a quick little lunch, quick little snack. Got my ham, cheese, and pate. Lightly heated up on the just warmed up on the microwave to melt the cheese. And it's a very gentle and soft cheese, so pretty great. It was pretty. Wait, why is it? Oh, this is the wrong screen. There we go. This is the right correct screen. Oopsie. Anyway, oh shit! I forgot my cup of water. Be right back. Alright, now I'm back. I know it's better to have a little snack before the stream, but it comes unsatisfying because it's too close to lunchtime. And I value my nutrition very much. And savoring my meals very much, so I have to do these little pauses in between stream, in the middle of the stream. Otherwise I get cranky. I don't have my snackies and my coffee. But for the story now, I actually really enjoyed this the first paragraph is so full of it already starts with a paragraph full of wit, not wit, but it's whimsical. Yeah, it already starts. In a hole in the ground lived a hobbit, not a nasty, dirty hole, not a dry, bare one. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. Like, it already comes up with strong. Is it whimsical sense? Really, narrative sense? Strong imagery? Analogy? It gives a strong image, but not in the it's a particular way that's different from how I write. I am very direct and not simple. I'm just extremely direct with how I write. Like if it was me, I'll just describe what it was. A comfortable. If I was me, I'll describe the hobbit hole as like a comfortable little hole in the side of a hill. Part of it always straight, with no up and down floors, with only part of it being illuminated by the natural light. So all the good rooms will be on the left hand side. It has a window out to the wide, pretty garden. I'll describe something like this more direct, but no, he goes like, not that nasty, not that dry. Let's see, what else? Hobbit was fond of visitors. That is a whimsical way of phrasing it. Yeah, lots and lots of pegs for hats and coats. The Hobbit was fond of visitors. The hill, as other people from many miles call it. Another whimsical repetition of the on the side of the hill of a place called the Hill. Pantries, lots of these, which means that they're fond of food. Wardrobes, he had whole rooms devoted to clothes, which means they're not narcissistic, but vain. They like to they like to have good clothes. The best rooms were on the left side. Okay. He was bagging. And the way he describes it, you could tell what the baggings would say without any question, without the bother of asking. That's an interesting way of describing someone that I wouldn't actually be able. I would be more direct with describing a person. He was the most tender person you could ever imagine to be. The standard, most normal, most average. The average of the average. So average, you could not even pick him from a crowd. I'll go for something more simple, more related, more. How do you call it? How do you say it? How do you call it? How do you say it? Relatable? Relatable. Because I am built on. I did grow full of pop culture, so my references would all be mostly about pop culture. While Tolkien has his own specific way of saying things, which feels deliberate but also unexpected in every time you read it. There's some bad things about it, I know, because I tried to read. I did read all of the Lord of the Rings, but I barely remember any of it, and I also remember slogging through quite a lot of it. So his style is not all bad, not all good. It's way more good than bad, but there's something special about it that I find interesting. Now we are stopped here. Let me drink. The mother of our particular hobbit. What is a hobbit? Suppose hobbits need some description nowadays, since they have become rare and shy of the big people, as they call us. They are, or were, a little people, about half our height, smaller than the bearded dwarves. Hobbits have no beards. There is little or no magic about them, except the ordinary everyday sort which helps them to disappear quietly and quickly when large, stupid folk like you and me come blundering along, making a noise like elephants which they can hear a mile off. They are inclined to be fat in the stomach, they dress in bright colors, chiefly green and yellow, wear no shoes, because their feet grow natural leathery soles and thick warm brown hair like the stuff on their heads, which is curly. Have long, clever, brown fingers, good-natured faces, and laugh deep, fruity laughs, especially after dinner, which they have twice a day where they can get it. Now you know enough to go on with. As I was saying, the mother of this hobbit, Bilbo Baggins that is, was the famous Belladonna Took, one of the 3 remarkable daughters of the old Took, head of the hobbits who lived across the water, the small river that ran at the foot of the hill. It was often said, in other families, that long ago one of the Took ancestors must have taken a fairy wife. That was, of course, absurd. Certainly there was still something not entirely hobbit-like about it. And once in a while, members of the Took clan would go and have adventures. They discreetly disappeared, and the family hushed it up. But the fact remained that the Tooks were not as respectable as the Bagginses, though they were undoubtedly richer. Not that Belladonna Took ever had any adventures after she became Miss Burgon Baggis. Bungo, that was Bilbo's father, built the most luxurious hobbit hole for her, and partly with her money, that was to be found either under the hill or over the hill or across the water, and there they remained to the end of their days. Still, it is probable that Bilbo, her only son, although he looked and behaved exactly like a second edition of his solid and comfortable father, but something a bit queer in his makeup from the Took side. What a interesting choice of words. Queer, fruity, something that only awaited for a chance to come out. The chance never arrived until Bilbo Baggins was grown up, being about 50 years or so, and living in the beautiful hobbit hole built by his father, which I have just described for you, until he had, in fact, apparently settled down immovably. By some curious chance, one morning, long ago in the quiet of the world, when there was less noise and more green, and the hobbits were still numerous and prosperous, and Bilbo Baggins was standing at his door after breakfast, smoking an enormous long wooden pipe that reached nearly down to his woolly toes, neatly brushed. Gandalf came by. Woolly toes. This is an interesting image that I find absolutely disgusting. Like, I am a foot enjoyer myself, but it should be cute feet. Don't have to be small. It has to be cute, neatly trimmed, and soft looking. Now, leathery, hairy feet. That is the exact that people don't wear shoes, so that it's always dirty with. That's exactly the opposite of what I would find attractive. And ew. Anyway, Gandalf. If I have heard only a quarter of what I've heard about him, and I have only heard very little of all there is to hear, he would be preparing for any sort of remarkable tale. Tales and adventures sprouted up all over the place whenever he went, in the most extraordinary fashion. He had not been down that way under the hill for ages and ages, not since his friend the old Took died. In fact, and the hobbits had almost forgotten what he looked like. He had been away over the hill and across the water on business of his own since they were all small hobbit boys and hobbit girls. All that the unsuspecting Bilbo saw that morning was an old man with a staff. He had a tall, pointed blue hat, a long grey cloak, a silver scarf, over which his long white beard hung down below his waist, and immense black boots. "Good morning," said Bilbo, and he meant it. The sun was shining, and the grass was very green, but Gandalf looked at him from under long bushy eyebrows that stuck out further than the brim of his shady hat. "What do you mean?" he said. "Do you wish me a good morning, or mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not? Or that you feel good this morning, or that it is a morning to be good on?" "All of them at once," said Bilbo. "And a very fine morning for a pipe of tobacco out of doors, into the bargain. If you have a pipe about you, sit down and have a fill of mine. There's no hurry. We have all the day before us." Then Bilbo sat down on a seat by his door, crossed his legs, and blew out the beautiful green ring of smoke that sailed up into the air without breaking and floated away over the hill. "Very pretty," said Gandalf, "but I have no time to blow smoke rings this morning. I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure that I am arranging, and it's very difficult to find anyone." "I should think so. In these parts, we're plain quiet folk and have no use for adventures. Nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things. Make you late for dinner. Can't think what anybody sees in them," said our Mr. Baggins, and stuck one tongue behind his braces, and blew out another even bigger smoke ring. Then he took out his morning letters and began to read, pretending to take no more notice of the old man. He had decided that he was not quite that sort, and wanted him to go away. But the old man did not move. He stood, leaning on his stick and gazing at the hobbit without saying anything, till Bilbo got quite uncomfortable and even a little cross. "Good morning," he said at last. "We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You might try over the hill or across the water." By this, he meant that the conversation was at an end. "What a lot of things you do use good morning for," said Gandalf. "Now, you mean that you want to get rid of me? And I won't be good till I move off?" "Not at all. Not at all, my dear sir. Let me see, I don't think I know your name." Yes, my dear sir, and I do know your name, Mr. Bilbo Baggins. And did you know my name? Though you don't remember that I belong to it. I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me. You think that I should have lived to be good morning by Belladonna took song as if I was selling buttons at the door. Gandalf, Gandalf, good gracious me, not the wandering wizard that gave old took a pair of magic diamond stuffs that fastened themselves and never came undone till ordered. Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties about dragons and goblins and giants and the rescue of princesses and the unexpected luck of widows' sons. Not the man that used to make such particularly excellent fireworks. I remember those. Oh, trip was to have them on Midsummer's Eve. Splendid. They used to go up like great lilies and snapdragons and laburnums of fire. Is that an actual word? Quick break. I can check this up. Laburnum. How is a flower? Golden chain, golden rings. The genies of two species of mouth trees. Okay, it's a tree that makes some pretty flowers. They used to go up like great lilies and snapdragons and laburnums of fire, and hang in the twilight all evening. You noticed already. Mr. Baggins was not quite so prosy as is like to believe. Also that he was very fond of flowers. Dear me, he went on. Not the Gandalf who was responsible for so many quiet lads and lasses going off into the blue for mad adventures. Anything from climbing trees to visiting elves, or sailing in ships, sailing to other shores. Bless me, life used to be quiet. You used to upset things badly in these parts once upon a time. I beg your pardon, but I had no idea you were still in business. What else should I be? Said the wizard. All the same, I am pleased to find you remember something about me. You seem to remember my fireworks kindly at any rate. And that is not without hope. Indeed, for your old grandfather took's sake, and for the sake of poor Belladonna, I will give you what you asked for. I beg your pardon, I haven't asked for anything. Yes, you have. Twice now. My pardon, I give it to you. In fact, I will go so far as to send you on this adventure. Very amusing, Amy. Very good for you. Profitable too. Very likely if you ever get over it. Sorry, I don't want any adventures, thank you. Not today. Good morning. Oh, please come to tea. Anytime you like. Why not tomorrow? Come tomorrow. Goodbye. With that, the Hobbit turned and scuttled inside his round green door, and shut it as quickly as he dared. Not to seem rude. Wizards, after all, are our wizards. Wizards, after all, are wizards. What on earth did I ask him tea for? He said to himself as he went to the pantry. He had only just had breakfast, but he thought a cake or two and a drink of something would do him good after his frying. Gandalf, in the meantime, was still standing outside the door, and laughing long but quietly. After a while he stepped up, and with a spike on his staff scratched a queer sign on the Hobbit's beautiful green front door. Then he strolled away, just about the time when Bilbo was finishing his second cake and beginning to think that he had escaped adventures very well. The next day, he had almost forgotten about Gandalf. He did not remember things very well, unless he put them down on his engagement tablet. Like this, Gandalf Tea Wednesday. Yesterday he had been too flustered to do anything of the kind. Just before tea time, there came a tremendous ring on the front door bell, and then he remembered. He rushed and put on the kettle, and put out another cup and saucer and an extra cake or two, and ran to the door. Thank you, Tiresias, for redeeming the furs. Congrats, you get a whole library grammar where you can do anything you want. Remember, she's pretty good with illusions, and you can always talk to her and ask her what is her opinion of the activities you had planned for your special day together. And thank you for the lyric. Someone's peeping. Moving on. I am so sorry to keep you waiting, he was going to say, when he saw that he was not Gandalf at all. He was a dwarf with a blue beard tucked into a golden belt. very bright eyes under his dark green hood. As soon as the door was open, he pushed inside, just as it had been expected. He hung his hooded cloak on the nearest bag, and, "Dwelling at your service," he said with a low bow. "Bilbo Baggins at yours," said the Hobbit, too surprised to ask any questions for the moment. When the silence that followed had become uncomfortable, he added, "I am just about to take tea. Pray come and have some with me." A little stiff, perhaps, but he meant it kindly. And what would you do if an uninvited dwarf came and hung his things up in your hall without a word of explanation? They had not been at table long. In fact, they had hardly reached the third cake when there came another even louder ring at the bell. "Excuse me," said the Hobbit, and went off to the door. "So you have got here at last." That was what he was going to say to Gandalf this time, but it was not Gandalf. Instead, there was a very old-looking dwarf on the step with a white beard and a scarlet hood, and he too hopped inside as soon as the door was open, just as if he had been invited. "I see they began to arrive already," he said when he caught sight of Wallen's green hood hanging up. He hung his red one next to it, and bowing at your service, he said with his hand on his breast. "Thank you," said Bilbo with a gasp. It was not the correct thing to say, but "they have begun to arrive" had frustrated him badly. He liked visitors, but he liked to know them before they arrived, and he preferred to ask them himself. He had a horrible thought that the cakes might run short, and then he, as the host, he knew his duty and stuck to it, however painful. He might have to go without. He had a horrible thought that the cakes might run short, and then he, as the host, he knew his duty and stuck to it, however painful. He might have to go without. "Come along in and have some tea," he managed to say after taking a deep breath. "A little beer would suit me better, if it is all the same to you, my good sir," said Balin with a wide beard. "But I don't mind some cake. Seed cake, you have any?" "Lots," Bilbo found himself answering, to his own surprise, and he found himself scuttling off too to the cellar to fill a pint beer mug, and then to a pantry to fetch 2 beautiful round seed cakes which he had baked that afternoon for his soup after supper morsel. When he got back, Balin and Walling were talking at the table like old friends. As a matter of fact, they were brothers. Bilbo plumped down the beer and the cake in front of them, when loud came a ring at the bell again, and then another ring. Gandalf for certain this time, he thought as he puffed along the passage. But it was not. It was 2 more dwarves, both with blue hoods, silver belts, and yellow beards, and each of them carried a bag of stools and a spade. In they hopped. As soon as the door began to open, Bilbo was hardly surprised at all. "What can I do for you, my dwarf?" "Gilly at your service," said one, "and Philly," added the other, and they both swept off their blue hoods and bowed. "At yours and your families," Bilbo replied, remembering his manners this time. "Dwelling bowling here already, I see," said Gilly. "Let us join the throng." "Throng," thought Mr. Baggins. "I don't like the sound of that. I really must down for a minute and collect my wits and have a drink." He had only just had a sip in the corner, while the 4 dwarves sat around the table and talked about mines and goats and troubles with the goblins, and the depredations of dragons and lots of other things which he did not understand and did not want to, for they sound much too adventurous. When ding-dong-a-ling-ding, his bell rang again, as if some naughty little hobbit boy was trying to pull the handle off. "Someone at the door," he said, blinking. "Some 4, I should say, by the sound," said Philly. "Besides, we saw them coming along behind us in the distance." The poor little hobbit sat down in the hall and put his head in his hands, and wondered what had happened, and what was going to happen, and whether they would all stay to supper. Then the bell rang again louder than ever, and he had to run to the door. It's not 4 after all. It was 5. Another dwarf had come along while he was wandering the hall. He had hardly turned the knob before they were all inside, bowing and saying, "At your service," one after another. Dori, Nori, Ori, Oi, and Gloin were their names. And very soon 2 purple hoods, a grey hood, a brown hood, and a white hood were hanging on the peg. and off they marched with their broad hands stuck in their gold and silver belts to join the others. Already they had almost become a throng. Some called for ale, and some for porter, and one for coffee, and all of them for cakes, so the Hobbit was kept very busy for a while. A big jug of coffee had just been set in the hearth, the seed cakes were gone, and the dwarfs were starting on a round of buttered scones, when there came a loud knock. Not a ring, but a hard rat-tat on the Hobbit's beautiful green door. Someone was banging with a stick. Bilbo rushed along the passage, very angry and altogether bewildered and bewattered. What the fuck is those words, bewattered? Time to learn a new word. Tolkien made up a word, bewattered, which seems to have the same meaning as this word. Now, since he made this up, he's the only one who knows exactly what it means. But it has a nice sound, and it's a perfect symbol for being confused. I guess bewildered is how we feel when we read it. Oh shit, wrong window. It was supposed to be this window. Bewildered. The Hobbit vocabulary list. He made up words. That's kind of a funny thing. Bilbo rushed along the passage, very angry, and altogether bewildered and bewattered. It was the most awkward Wednesday he ever remembered. He pulled open the door with a jerk, and they all fell in, one on top of the other. More dwarves! 4 more! And there was Gandalf behind, leaning on his staff and laughing. He had made quite a dent on the beautiful door. He had also, by the way, knocked out the secret mark that he had put there the morning before. Carefully, carefully, he said. It's not like you, Bilbo, to keep friends waiting on the mat. And then opened the door like a pop gun. Let me introduce Bilbo, Bombur, and especially Thorin. At your service, said Bilbo, Bofur, and Bombur, standing in a row. Then they hung up 2 yellow hoods and a pale green one, and also a sky blue one with a long silver tassel. This last one belonged to Thorin, an enormously important dwarf. In fact, no other than the great Thorin Oakenshield himself was not at all pleased at falling flat on Bilbo's mat with Bilbo, Bofur, and Bombur on top of him. For one thing, Bombur was immensely fat and heavy. Thorin, indeed, was very haughty, and said nothing about service. But poor Mr. Baggin said he was so sorry, so many times that at last he grunted, "Pray don't mention it," and stopped frowning. Now we are all here, said Gandalf, looking at the roll of 13 hoods, the best detachable party hoods, and his own hat hanging on the pegs. Quite a merry gathering. I hope there is something left for the latecomers to eat and drink. Was that tea? No, thank you. A little red wine, I think, for me. And for me, said Thorin. And raspberry jam and apple tart, said Bilford, and mince pies and cheese, said Bilford, and pork pie and salad, said Bombur, and more cakes, and ale, and coffee, you don't mind, called the other dwarfs through the door. Put on a few eggs, there's a good fellow, Gandalf called after him, as the Hobbit stumped off to the pantries. And just bring out the cold chicken and pickles. Seems to know as much about the inside of my larders as I do myself, thought Mr. Baggins, who was feeling positively flummoxed, and was beginning to wonder whether a most wretched adventure had not come right into his house. I think flummoxed is another made-up word, is it? No, it's not. Okay, it's not actually a made-up word. By the time he had got all the bottles and dishes and knives and forks and glasses and plates and spoons and things piled up on big trays, he was getting very hot and red in the face and annoyed. "Oh, pusticate and be bothered, these dwarves," he said aloud. "Why don't they come and lend a hand?" Lo and behold, there stood Balin and Wally at the door of the kitchen, and Philly and Killy behind them. And before I could say knife, they had whisked the trays and a couple of small tables into the parlor and set out everything afresh. Gandalf sat at the head of the party with the 13 dwarves all around. And Bilbo sat on a stool at his fireside, nibbling at a biscuit, his appetite quite taken away, and trying to look as if this was all perfectly ordinary and not in the least an adventure. The dwarves ate and ate, and talk, and time got on. At last, they pushed the chairs back, and Bilbo made a move to collect the plates and glasses. I suppose you all stay to supper, he said in his politest, unpressing tones. Of course, said Thorin. And after, we shan't get through the business till late, and we must have some music first. Now, to clear up. Thereupon the 12 dwarves, not Thorin, he was too important and stayed talking to Gandalf, jumped to their feet and made tall piles of all the things. Off they went, not waiting for trays, balancing columns of plates, each with a bottle on the top, with one hand, while the Hobbit ran after them almost squeaking with fright. Please be careful, and please don't trouble, I can manage. But the dwarves only started to sing. Chip the glasses and crack the plates, blunt the knives and bend the forks. That's what Bilbo Baggin hates, smash the bottles and burn them corks. Cut the clocks and tread on the fat, pour the milk on the pantry floor, leave the bones on the bedroom mat, splash the wine on every door, dump the rocks in a boiling bowl, pound them up with a thumping pole, and when you've finished you are anyhow. And when you've finished, if any are whole, send it down the how to roll. That's what Bilbo Baggin hates, so carefully with the plates. And of course, they did none of these dreadful things, and everything was cleaned and put away safe as quick as lightning. But the Hobbit was turning round and round in the middle of the kitchen, trying to see what they were doing. Curious Christian went, never. Never. Fuck parties. I hate parties. I hate fun. That is as much as you see me sing. Enjoy it. Pretty please? No. 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 Maybe one day. Who knows? If I feel insane enough, I'll do it. And then they went back and found Thorin with his feet on the fender smoking a pipe. He was blowing the most enormous smoke rings, and whenever he told one to go, it went up the chimney, or behind the clock on the mantelpiece, or under the table, or round and round the ceiling, but wherever it went, it was not quick enough to escape Gandalf. Pop! He sent a smaller smoke ring from his short clay pipe, straight through each one of Thorin's. Then Gandalf's smoke ring would go green, and it come back to hover over the wizard's head. He had a cloud of them about him already, and in the dim light it made him look strange and sorcerous. Bilbo stood still and watched. He loved smoke rings, and then he blushed to think how proud he had been yesterday morning of the smoke rings he had sent up the wind over the hill. I hate parties, third. I hate parties. Now, for some music, said Thorin. Bring out the instruments. I hate fun. Billy and Philly rushed for their bags and brought back little fiddles. Nori and Ori brought out flutes from somewhere inside their coats. Balfour produced a drum from the hall. Bilfour and Beaufort went out too, and came back with clarinets that they had left among the walking sticks. Wally and Bowling said, "Excuse me, I left mine in the porch." "Just bring mine with you," said Thorin. They came back with vials, as big as themselves, and with Thorin's harp wrapped in a green cloth. It was a beautiful golden harp, and when Thorin struck it, the music began all at once. So sudden and sweet that Bilbo forgot everything else, and was kept away into the dark lands under strange moons, far over the water, and very far from his hobbit hole under the hill. The dark came into the room from the little window that opened in the side of the hill. The firelight flickered. It was April, and still they played on, while the shadow of Gandalf's beard wagged against the wall. The dark filled the room, and the fire died down, and the shadows were lost, and still they played on. And suddenly first one and then another began to sing as they played, deep-throat singing of the dwarves in the deep places of the ancient home. And this is like a fragment of their song. It can be like their song without their music. Far over the misty mountains go, to dungeons deep and caverns old. We must away ere break of day, to the pale enchanted go. The dwarves of yore made mighty spell, all hammers fell like ringing bells. In places deep where dark things sleep, in hollow house beneath the fen. Where ancient king and elvish lore, there many a gleaming golden hole. They shaped and wrought and light they come, to hiding gems on hilt of sword. On silver necklace they strung, the flowering stars on crowns they hung. The dragon fire in twisted wire, the meshed light of moon and sun. Far over the misty mountains go, to dungeons deep and caverns old. We must away ere break of day, claim our long forgotten gold. Goblets they carved there for themselves, and harpful goals where no men dwell. There they lay long many a song, was sung in her by men or elves. The pines were hurting on the height, the winds were moaning in the night, the fire was sweating, flaming spread, the trees like torches blaze with light. Bells were ringing in the dale, and men look up with faces pale. Dragons, armor, fist and fire, lay low their towers and houses frail. The mountains smoke beneath the moon, the dwarves they hate the tramp of doom. They fled their hall to defying fall, beneath his feet, beneath the moon. Far over the misty mountains grim, to dungeons deep and caverns dim. We must away ere break of day, to win our harps and gold from him. As they sang, the Hobbit felt the love of beautiful things made by hand and by cunning, by magic moving through him, a fierce and a jealous love, the desire of the hearts of dwarves. And something tookish woke up inside him, and he wished to see and go and see the great mountains, and hear the pine trees and the waterfalls, and explore the caves and wear a sword instead of a walking stick. He looked out of the window. The stars were out in a dark sky above the trees. He thought of the jewels of the dwarves shining in the dark caverns. Suddenly, in the wood beyond the water, a flame leapt up. Probably somebody lighting a wood fire, and he thought of plundering dagger, settling on his quiet hill and kindling it out to flame. He shuddered, and very quickly he was playing Mr. Baggins of Baggin, Underhill, again. He got up trembling. He had less than half a mind to fetch the lamp, and more than half a mind to pretend to, and go and hide behind the beer barrels in the cellar, and not come out again until all the dwarfs had gone away. Suddenly, he found that the music and the singing had stopped, and they were all looking at him, with eyes shining in the dark. "Where are you going?" said Thorin, in an attempt to show that he guessed both halves of the Hobbit's mind. "What about a little light?" said Bilbo apologetically. "We like the dark," said all the dwarves. "Dark for dark business. There are many hours before dawn." "Of course," said Bilbo, and sat down in a hurry. He missed the stew and sat in the fender, knocking over the poker and shovel with a crash. "Hush!" said Gandalf. "Let Thorin speak." And this is how Thorin began. "Gandalf, dwarves, and Mr. Baggins were met together in the house of our friend and fellow conspirator, this most excellent audacious hobbit. May the hair on his toes never fall out. All praise to his wine and ale." He paused for breath and a polite remark from the hobbit. The compliments were quite lost on poor Bilbo Baggins, who was wagging his mouth in protest at being called audacious and also a fellow conspirator. Though no noise came out, he was so flummoxed. Thorin went on. "We are met to discuss our plans, our ways, means, policy, and devices. We shall soon before the break of day start on our long journey, our journey from which some of us, or perhaps all of us, except our friend and counselor, the ingenious wizard Gandalf, may never return. It is a solemn moment. Our objective is, I take it, well known to us all. To the estimable Bilbo Baggins, to the estimable Mr. Baggins, and perhaps to one or two of the younger dwarfs. I think I should be right in name Kitty and Fitting, for instance. The exact situation at the moment may require a little bit of explanation." This was Thorin's style. He was an important dwarf. He had been allowed, He would probably have gone on like this until he was out of breath, without adding anything that was not known already. But he was rudely interrupted, for Bilbo couldn't bear it any longer. That may never return. He began to feel a shriek coming up inside, and very soon it burst out like the whistle of an engine coming out of a tunnel. All the dwarves sprang up, knocking over the table. Gandalf struck a blue light on the end of his magic staff, and its firework glare the poor little hobbit could see seen kneeling on the hearthrug, shaking like a jelly that was melting. Then he fell flat on the floor and kept on calling out, "Struck by lightning! Struck by lightning!" over and over again. And that was all they could get out of him for a long time. So they took him and laid him out of the way on the drawing room sofa with a drink at his elbow. And they went back to their dark business. "Excitable little fellow," said Gandalf as they sat down again. "Gets funny, queer fits, but he's one of the best. One of the best. As fierce as a dragon in a pinch." If you have ever seen a dragon in a pinch, you realize that this was only poetical exaggeration applied to any hobbit. Even to old Took's great-grand-uncle, Bull Roarer, was so huge for a hobbit that he could ride a horse. He charged the ranks of the goblins of Mount Graham in the Battle of the Green Fields, and knocked their king, Golfing Bull's head clean off with a wooden club. He sailed 100 yards through the air and went down a rabbit hole. And in this way, the battle was won, and the game of golf invented at the same moment. That's how he invented golf. In the meanwhile, however, Bull Roarer's gentler descendant was reviving in the drawing room. After a while, and a drink, he crept nervously to the door of the parlor. This is what he heard Glowing speaking. Or some snort more or less like that. "Oh, he do you think? It's all very well for Gandalf to talk about this hobbit being fierce, but one shriek like that in a moment of excitement would be enough to wake the dragon and all his relatives and kill the lot of us. I think some of them are like fright than excitement. In fact, had it been for the sign on the door, I should have been sure we had come to the wrong house. As soon as I clapped eyes on the little fellow bobbing and puffing on the mat, I had my doubts. He looks more like a grocer than a burglar." Then Mr. Baggins turned the handle and went in. The Took side had won. He suddenly found he would go without bed and breakfast to be thought fierce. As for the little fellow bobbing on the mat, it almost made him really fierce. Many a time afterwards, the Baggins side regretted what he did now, and he said to himself, "Bilbo, you were a fool. You walked right in and put your foot in it." "Pardon me," he said, "if I have overheard words that you are saying. I don't pretend to understand what you are talking about, or your reference to burglars, but I think I'm right in believing," this is what he called beyond being on his dignity, "that you think I am no good. I will show you. I have no signs on my door. It was painted a week ago, and I am quite sure you have come to the wrong house. As soon as I saw your funny faces on the doorstep, I had my doubt, but treat it as the right one. Tell me what you want done, I will try it. If I have to walk from here to the east of east and fight the wild werewolves in the last desert, I had a great-great-grand-uncle once. Bull Roarer took and..." Yes, but that was a long ago," said Glowing. "I was talking about you. And I assure you there is a mark on this door. The usual one in the trade, or used to be. Burglar wants a good job, plenty of excitement, and a reasonable reward. That's how it's usually read. You can say expert treasure hunter instead of burglar if you like. Some of them do. It's all the same to us. Gandalf told us that there was a man of the sort in these parts looking for a job at once, and that he had arranged for a meeting here this Wednesday, tea time." "Of course there is a mark," said Gandalf. "I put it there myself, for very good reasons. You asked me to find the 14th man for your expedition, and I chose Mr. Baggins. Just let anyone say I chose wrong man or the wrong house, and you can stop at 13 and have all the bad luck you like, or go back to digging coal." He scowled so angrily at Glowing that the dwarf huddled back in his chair, and when Bilbo tried to open his mouth to ask a question, he turned and frowned at him, and stuck out his bushy eyebrow. Bilbo shut his mouth tight with his snap. "That's right," said Gandalf. "Let's have no more argument. I've chosen Mr. Baggins, and that ought to be enough for all of you. If I say he's a burglar he is. Or will be when the time comes. There is a lot more in him than you guess. And a deal more than he has any idea of himself. You may, possibly, all if you thank me yet. Now, Bilbo, my boy, fetch the lamp. And let's have a little light on this. On the table, in the light of a big lamp with a red shade, he spread a piece of parchment, rather like a map. This was made by Dror. Your grandfather, Thorin. He said in answer to the dwarves' excited question. It is a plan of the mountain. I don't see that this will help us much, Thorin said disappointedly after a glance. Remember the mountain well enough and the lands about it. And I know where Mirkwood is. And the withered heath, where the great dragons breed. The great dragons bred. There is a dragon marked in the Red Mountain. There is a dragon marking red on the mountain, said Balin. But it will be easy enough to find him without that, if ever we arrive there. There is one point that you haven't noticed, said the wizard, and that is the secret entrance. You see that rune on the west side? And the hand pointing to it from the other runes? That marks a hidden passage to the whole lower halls. Look at the map at the beginning of this book, and you see the runes. Okay, 27. Where's the fucking hand? Oh, this hand. This hand over here is pointing to the... What's over here? But whatever. Not like we're the ones who are gonna have to find this secret entrance. To the lower house. They may have us been secret once, said Thorin. But how do we know that it's secret any longer? Old Smog has lived there long enough now to find out anything there is to know about those caves. He may, but he can't have used it for years and years. Why? Because it's too small. 5 feet high the door and 3 may walk abreast, say the runes. But Smog could not creep into a hole that size. Not even when he was a young dragon. Certainly not after devouring so many of the dwarves and men of Dale. Seems a great big hole to me, quit Bilbo, who had no experience of dragons and only of hobbit holes. He was getting excited and interested again, but he forgot to keep his mouth shut. He loved maps, and in his hall there hung a large one of the country round, with all his favorite walks marked on it in red ink. I also love maps. We are one of a kind, Bilbo. How could such a large door be kept secret from everybody outside apart from the dragon? He asked. He was only a little hobbit, you must remember. In lots of ways, said Gandalf. But in what way this one has been hidden, we don't know without going to see. From what it says on the map, I should guess there is a closed door which has been made to look exactly like the side of the mountain. That is the usual dwarves' method. I think that is right, isn't it? Quite right, said Thorin. Also, went on Gandalf, I forgot to mention that with the map went a key, a small and curious key. Here it is, he said and handed to Thorin, a key with a long barrel and intricate wards made of silver. Keep it safe. Indeed I will, said Thorin, and he fastened it upon a fine chain that hung about his neck and on his jacket. Now things begin to look more hopeful. This news alters them much for the better. So far, we have had no clear idea what to do. We thought of going east, as quiet and careful as we could, as far as the Long Lake. After that, the trouble began. And now we have an ad break, so I'm gonna stand up, stretch, and see you guys in a couple of minutes. Alright, we're back. I think I should add Douglas Adams books to the list of reading books. I've already read them. Let's see, oh, you know what? After The Hobbit, I think I should read Discworld. I should read Discworld. It's so famous. It is so famous. There's one. But I've never actually read it. I've read only like, I think one book, only partially, and never finished it again. I have such bad taste. I never finished the classics. I have such bad taste as a teenager or a child. I never finished the classics. Hi, hello, Panso. I have this book, but in Spanish. And why was the puke face? Spanish is okay, I guess. I also have it. I actually have the Hobbit, but it's in Portuguese. Let me see if do I have it right here? Oh, no, what did I do with my book? What did I do with my book? I stored them somewhere. Yeah, I don't think I have them here. Only Spanish is not okay. I don't think I have my books over here on the shelves because they're getting old, so I think they got stored somewhere. I need to ask my mom where she stored them. But yeah, I have the Hobbit too, but it's in Portuguese. Discord can get weird from what I've heard. Been meaning to get into it for a while now. It is something. Yeah, from what I remember, it is like way more whimsical than Lord of the Rings. If you ever read the Backpacker's Guide, the Backpacker's Guide got super weird. But the Discworld is a little bit between Lord of the Rings and Backpacker's Guide in weirdness, in funny, and whimsical. It's almost a satire of it almost gets that feeling of satire of fantasy itself. But I guess it's because it's like one of those where like they know how well to do fantasy that they just turn it on its head or something of the kind. Like he knows all the tropes of fantasy, so he actually abuses them into interesting ways and funny ways. Because the book's quite funny, or supposed to be funny. I have a bad relationship with humor, so though I found the Backpacker Guide very hilarious. But I need to read Discworld next. After I finish The Hobbit, I think I'll pick up one book of Discworld. I was thinking about doing all the Lord of the Rings after The Hobbit, but I think I really should go for Discworld because I want to understand all the different styles of writing. Pick something different each time. Little by little, trying to understand how writing works as a whole. You know, learning by variety, learning by seeing everything rather than just focusing on formal understanding of one topic at a time, like you would if you were to study it at the university. Highly recommended Dune if you're looking for an experience. I've read Dune. I've actually read Dune, the first one only, not any of the other ones, but I've read Dune. And I know how the story goes after the other Dune, so. But Dune was pretty good. Maybe I should add it too. Yeah, it's another classic. I should add it to this. It's good. I've already read it, but I should add it to the list of Dune. Maybe the whole series. It gets even weirder, but it's also another good classic. I really would like to see you read House of Leaves, but the format of eating PDFs not the whole experience. I see. Did I add it to the list? House of Leaves. Yeah, these are on my list. Mysterious Psycho. Recommended. Let me add a note to House of Leaves. Okay, just so that I forget the House of Leaves is like a special one. Up to God Emperor, it's great. If he's allowed after that. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, because from what I heard, like a very ambitious story. from the whole story arc of what is going on. Just very, very ambitious. So for him to actually succeed with that to be pretty difficult, because we know from like the every other big kind of like every of the big stories that big long epic stories that come out, they eventually have their downs. They eventually have their downs because it's humanly impossible to maintain the same quality throughout. Like, how many years does it take to write those stories? Basically, these big stories, they're basically someone's like magnum opus. Basically, their lives work, and to keep the same quality is impossible because you're not in the same mindset. In 1 year, in 2 years, your mind changed. In 5 years, your mind is completely different. So keeping up the same qualities is just humanly impossible unless you actually finish everything and then you go and review it all at once. Then it has like a more stabilized final style, you could say, a more homogeneous style. You manage to review everything, but you have to be very, very, very discriminating, very harsh on yourself if you're going to cut content. So even then, it might not be enough. You have to be a superhuman, basically, to come out with a long epic masterpiece without any problems. Like the Wheel of Time is another one that I hear about that has some. It's really good, but has also some really slows that slog is. It's not like it's bad. It's just a slog. It just become a bit of a slog. But anyway, a great book to read. Okay, I have so many books to read. I had things that I want to study. I have books I want to read. I have games I want to play. I have art I want to do. There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff. There's always so much stuff. I cannot stop working. The backlog. Now the backlog of movies, the backlog of manga, the backlog of games, the backlog of books, the backlog of work. It never stops growing. It never stops growing. No matter how much I grind it down, it never stops growing. It's impossible. We have more media than possible to consume in a whole life. Thank you for the head pat. Third, thank you for the head pat. Stopping me from going crazy over here. A head pat to stop me from going crazy after. Crazy with there is no release. It only gets more pent up. Yeah. I guess that's true for every aspect of life. There is never enough release. There is never enough. I need more, I need harder, I need more intense. There is a bit of it, it's just not enough. Never enough. Anyway, we found out where we stopped. Okay, it was kinda here. That we thought of going east as quiet and as careful as we could, as far as the long lake. After that, the trouble will begin. A long time before that, if I know anything about the roads east, interrupted Gandalf. We might go from there up along the river running, went on Tori, taking no notice. And so to the ruins of Dale, the old town in the valley there, under the shadow of the mountain. But none of us like the idea of the front gate. The river runs right out of it through the great cliff at the south of the mountain, and out of it comes the dragon too, far too often, unless he has changed his habits. That would be no good, said the wizard. Not without a mighty warrior, even a hero. I tried to find one, but warriors are busy fighting one another in distant land. And in this neighborhood, heroes are scarce, or simply not to be found. Swords in these parts are mostly blunt, and axes are used for trees, and shields as cradles or dish covers, and dragons are comfortably far off and therefore legendary. This is why I settle on burglar. Especially when I remember the existence of a side door. And here is a little Bilbo Baggins, the burglar, the chosen and selected burglar. So now let's go on and make some plans. Well done, Thorin said. Supposing the burglar expert give us some ideas or suggestions, he turned with mock politeness to Bilbo. First, I should like to know a bit more about things, said he, feeling all confused and a bit shaken inside, but so far still tookishly determined to go on with things. I mean, about the golden dragon and all that, and how he got there and who he belongs to, and so on and further. Bless me, said Thorin. Haven't you got that map? And didn't you hear our song? I haven't been talking about all this for hours. All the same, I should like it all plain and clear, said he obstinately, putting on his business manner, usually reserved for people who try to borrow money off, and doing his best to appear wise and prudent and professional and live up to Gandalf's recommendation. This is an aside, but the way he does the end, I quite like it. It is not grammatically correct, like, and doing his best to appear wise and prudent and professional and live up to Gandalf's recommendation. The grammatically would be like, and doing his best to appear wise, prudent, professional, and also to live up to Gandalf's recommendation. Like, there should be commas over here. But the way he does and gives a hurried sense. Like you're like the way I'm reading. And doing his best to appear wise and prudent and professional and live up to Gandalf's recommendation. There's like a hurried sense when there's no comma in it. That's a neat way of writing. To give a bit more flavor to the text. I kinda tried to use it, but I had a reader that will do review of things for me. Review chapters. Because he was training grammar or something like that, and he loved to help me up with typos and things like that, so I learned a lot from him. But I tried to do this. I tried to do something like this, and he immediately corrected, and I was like, yeah, I don't know enough to say if I want to do this, if it's right, if I should or not, so I just let it go. But I kind of like this. I want to do this more. Anyway, moving on. Also, I should like to know about risks, out-of-pocket expenses, time required and remuneration and so forth. By which meant, what am I going to get out of it? And am I going to come back alive? Oh, very well, said. Long ago, in my grandfather Thor's time, our family was driven out of the far north, and came back with all their wealth and their tools to this mountain on the map. It had been discovered by my far ancestor, Brain the Old, but now they mine and they tunnel and they made huger halls and greater workshops. And in addition, I believe they found a good deal of gold and a great many jewels too. Anyway, they grew immensely rich and famous, and my grandfather was king on the mountain again, and treated with reverence by the mortal men who lived to the south, and were gradually spreading up the running river as far as the valley overshadowed by the mountain. They built the merry town of Dale. There in those days, kings used to send for our smith, and reward even the least skillful most richly. Fathers would beg us to take their sons as apprentices, and pay us handsomely, especially in food supplies, which we never bothered to grow or find for ourselves. Although those were good days for us, and the poorest of us had money to spend and to lend, and leisure to make beautiful things just for the fun of it, not to speak of the most marvelous and magical toys, like of which is not to be found in the world nowadays. So my grandfather's halls became full of armor, and jewels and carvings and cups, and the toy market of Dale was the wonder of the north. Undoubtedly, that was what brought the dragon. Dragons steal gold and jewels, you know, from men and elves and dwarves, whenever they can find them. They guard their plunder as long as they live, which is practically forever, unless they're killed, and never enjoy a brass ring out of it. Indeed, they hardly know a good bit of work from a bad, though they usually have a good notion of the current market value. And they can't make a thing for themselves, not even mend the little loose scale of their armor. There were lots of dragons in the north in those days, and gold was probably getting scarce up there, with the dwarves flying south or getting killed, and all the general waste and destruction that dragons make going from bad to worse. There was a most specially greedy, strong and wicked worm called Smog. One day, he flew up into the air and came south. First we heard of it was a noise like a hurricane coming from the north. and the pine trees on the mountain creak and crack in the wind. Some of the dwarves, who happened to be outside, I was one, luckily. A fine adventurous lad in those days, always wandering about, and he saved my life. Well, from a good way off, we saw the dragon set on our mountain in a spout of flame. Then he came down the slopes, and when he reached the woods, they all went up in a fire. By the time all the bells were ringing in Dale, and the warriors were arming, the dwarves rushed out of their great gate. But there was the dragon waiting for them. None escaped that way. The river rushed up in stream and a fog fell on Dale, and in the fog the dragon came on them, and destroyed most of the warriors. The usual unhappy story. It was only too common in those days. Then he went back and crept in through the front gate, and rooted out all the halls and lanes and tunnels, alleys, cellars, mansions, and passages. After that, there were no dwarves left alive inside, and he took all their wealth for himself. Probably, for that is the dragon's way. He's piled it all up in a great heap far inside and sleep on it for a bed. Later, he used to crawl out of the great gate and come by night to Dale, and carry away people, especially maidens, to eat, until Dale was ruined, and all the people dead or gone. What goes on there now, I don't know for certain, but I don't suppose anyone lives nearer to the mountain than the far edge of the long lake nowadays. The few of us that were well outside sat and wept in hiding, and cursed small. And there we were unexpectedly joined by my father and my grandfather with singed beards. They looked very green, but they said very little. When I asked how they had got that way, when I asked how they had got away, they told me to hold. Shit, yawn. And yawn for the counter. Wait. Where's the yawn counter? There you go. 164 yawns. Damn. Thank you for the headpad. Also, hello, Bunkin. I see a cutie, and I see they're spinning. Sometimes I start to yawn while reading. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's breathing. Anyway, when I asked how they had got away, they told me to hold my tongue and said that one day in the proper time I should know. After that we went away, and we had to earn our living as best as we could and down the lands, often enough sinking as low as blacksmith work or even coal mining. We have never forgotten our stolen treasure, and even now, when I allow we have a good bit laid by and are not so badly off, here Thorin stroked the gold chain around his neck, we still mean to get it back, and to bring our curses home to Smog, if we can. Okay, that is off. No protection, breathing only, watch out, I am especially fertile lately. Thank you, Bunkin, for head padding chat, everyone. Bunkin is showing your appreciation to you, cuties. Now, let me clear my throat. Moving on. I have often wondered about my father's and grandfather's escape. I see now they must have had a private side door, which only they knew about. Well, apparently they made a map, and I would like to know how Gandalf got hold of it. And why did not come down to me, the rightful heir? Thank you for the headpat, Terpity. Yes, raw dogging. The headpats. Gogging right deep in me. By that I mean my ear. Right on the pink side. Right on the pink part of the inner fur of the ear. Thank you, Terpity. I did not get hold of it. I was given it, said the wizard. Your grandfather Thror, was killed, you remember, in the mines of Moria by Azog the Goblin. Curse his name, yes, said Thorin. And Thrain, your father, went away on the 21st of April, 100 years ago last Thursday, and has never been seen by us. True, said Thorin. Well, your father gave me this to give to you, and if I have chosen my own time and way for handing it over, you can hardly blame me. Consider the trouble I had to find you. Your father not gonna remember his own name when he gave me the paper. and he never told me yours. On the whole, I think I ought to be praised and thanked. Here it is, said he, handing the map to Thorin. I don't understand, said Thorin, and Bilbo felt he would have liked to say the same. The explanation did not seem to explain. Your grandfather, said the wizard slowly and grimly, gave the map to his son for safety before he went to the mines of Moria. Father went away to try his luck with the map after your grandfather was killed. And lots of adventures of a most unpleasant sort he had, but he never got near the mountain. How he got there, I don't know, but I found him a prisoner in the dungeons of the Necromancer. What were you doing there? Asked Thorin with a shudder, and all the dwarves shimmering. Never you mind. I was finding things out as usual, and a nasty, dangerous business it was. Even I, Gandalf, only just escaped. I tried to save your father, but it was too late. He was witless and wandering, and had forgotten almost everything except the map and the key. We have long ago paid the goblins of Moria, said Thorin. We must give a thought to the Necromancer. Don't be absurd. He's an enemy far beyond the powers of all the dwarves put together. If they could all be collected again from the four corners of the world, the only thing your father wished for was for his son to read the map and use the key. The dragon and the mountain are more than a big enough task for you. Hear, hear, said Bilbo, and accidentally said it out loud. Hear what? They all said, turning suddenly towards him. He was so flustered that he answered, Hear what I have got to say. What's that? They asked. Well, I should say that you want to go east and have a look around. After all, there is the side door, and dragons must sleep sometimes, I suppose. If you sit on the doorstep long enough, I dare say you would think of something. And well, don't you know, until I talk long enough for one night, if you see what I mean. What about bed, an early start and all that? I'll give you a good breakfast before you go. Before we go, I suppose you mean, said Thorin. Aren't you the burglar? And is a sitting on doorstep your job? Not to speak of getting inside the door? But I agree about bed and breakfast. I like 6 eggs with my ham when starting on a journey. Fry, not poach, mind you. And don't break 'em. After all the others had ordered their breakfast without so much as a please, which annoyed Bilbo very much, they all got up. The Hobbit had to find room for them all, and fill all his spare rooms and made beds and chairs and sofas. Before he got them all stowed and went to his own little bed very tired and not altogether happy. One thing he did make his mind up about was not to bother to get up very early and cook everybody's wretched breakfast. The touchiness was wearing off, and he was not now quite so sure that he was going on any journey in the morning. As he lay in bed, he could hear Thorin still humming to himself in the best bedroom next to him. Far over the misty mountains go, the dungeons deep and caverns so. We must away our break of day to find our long-forgotten gold. Bilbo went to sleep with that in his ears, and he gave him very uncomfortable dreams. It was long after the break of day when he woke up. Chapter 2, Roast Mutton. Woo, it's actually quite tiring to read so often, like so much. I'm glad we are ending soon, like 30 more minutes. Because it would start to tire me up if I went even further. I still have to work after stream, like, yeah, I'm gonna take a break or something, have my dinner, and then I'll actually work a little bit more, do some writing. So my day is not even over yet. I'm already starting to get tired. But that break will do me good. A break would re-energize me. Now, chapter. Up jumped Bilbo, and putting on his dressing gown went into the dining room. There he saw nobody, but all the signs of a large and hurried breakfast. There was a fearful mess in the room, and piles of unwashed crocks in the kitchen. Nearly every pot and pan he possessed seemed to have been used. The washing up was so dismally real that Bilbo was forced to believe the party of the night before had not been part of his bad dream. as he had rather hoped. Indeed, he was really relieved after all to think that they had all gone without him, and without bothering to wake him up. But we never thank you. We'd never thank you, he thought. And yet, in a way, he could not help feeling just a trifle disappointed. The feeling surprised him. Don't be a fool, Bilbo Baggins, he said to himself. Think of dragons and all that outlandish nonsense at your age. So he put on an apron, lit fires, boiled water, and washed up. Then he had a nice little breakfast in the kitchen before turning out the dining room. By that time, the sun was shining and the front door was open, letting a warm spring breeze. Bilbo began to whistle loudly until forgot about the night before. In fact, he was just sitting down to a nice little second breakfast in the dining room by the open window when in walked Gandalf. My dear fellow, said he, whenever are you going to come? What about an early start? And here you are having breakfast, wherever you call it. At 10:30? They left you the message because they could not wait. What message? Said poor Mr. Baggins, all in a fluster. Great elephants, said Dwarf. Are you not at all yourself this morning? I've never dusted the mantelpiece. What's that got to do with it? I've had enough to do with this watch up for 14. If you had dusted the mantelpiece, you would have found this just under the clock, said Gandalf, handing Bilbo a note, written, of course, on his own notepaper. This is what he read. Tory and Company to burglar Bilbo greeting. For your hospitality or sincerest thank, and for your offer of professional assistance or grateful acceptance. Terms, cash on delivery, up to and not exceeding 1/14 of total profits, if any. All traveling expenses guaranteed in any event. Funeral expenses to be drafted by us or our representatives, if occasion arises and the matter is not otherwise arranged for. Thinking it unnecessary to disturb your esteemed repose, we have proceeded in advance to make requisite preparations, and shall await your respected person at the Green Dragon Inn, by water, 11 a.m. sharp, trusting that you'll be punctual. We have honor to remain, yours deeply so, Tory and Company. That leaves you just 10 minutes. You have to run, said Gandalf. But, said Gandalf, no time for it, said Gandalf. But, said Bilbo again, no time for that either. Off you go. To the end of his days, Bilbo could never remember how he found himself outside without a hat, a walking stick or any money, or anything he usually took when he went out. Leaving his second breakfast half finished and quite unwashed up, pushing his key into Gandalf's hand, and running as fast as his furry feet could carry him down the lane, past the great mill, across the water, and then on for a mile or more. He was, when he got to Bywater just on the stroke of 11, and he found he had come without a pocket handkerchief. Bravo, said Bally, who was standing at the inn door looking out for him. Just then, all the others came round the corner of the road from the village. They were on ponies, and each pony was long about with all the kinds of baggages, packages, parcels, and paraphernalia. There was a very small pony, apparently for Bilbo. Up you two get, and off we go, said Tory. I'm awfully sorry, said Bilbo, but I've come without my hat, and I have left my pocket handkerchief behind, and I haven't got any money. I didn't get your note until after 10:45, to be precise. Don't be precise, said Wooly. And don't worry, you'll have to manage without pocket handkerchiefs, and a good many other things before you get to the journey's end. As for a hat, I've got a spare hood and a cloak in my luggage. That's how they all came to start, jogging off from the inn one fine morning just before May on laden ponies. And Bilbo was wearing a dark green hood, a little weather-stained, and a dark green cloak borrowed from Walling. They were too large for him, and he looked rather comic. What his father Bungo would have thought of him, I daren't think. His only comfort was he couldn't be mistaken for a dwarf, as he had no beard. They had not been riding very long when came Gandalf, very splendid, on a white horse. He had brought a lot of pocket handkerchiefs and Bilbo's pipe and tobacco. So after that, the party went along very merrily, and they told stories or sang songs as they rode forward all day. Except, of course, when they stopped for meals. These didn't come quite as often as Bilbo would have liked them, but still, he began to feel that adventures were not so bad after all. At first, they had passed through Hobbit lands, a wide, respectable country inhabited by decent folk, with good roads, an inn or two, and now and then a dwarf or a farmer ambling by on business. Then they came to lands where people spoke strangely, and sang songs Bilbo had never heard before. Now they had gone on far into the lone lands, where there were no people left, no inns, and the roads grew steadily worse. Not far ahead were dreary hills, rising higher and higher, dark with trees. Some of them were old castles with an evil look, as if they had been built by wicked people. Everything seemed gloomy, for the weather that day had taken a nasty turn. Mostly had been as good as May can be, even in merry tales. But now it was cold and wet. In the lone lands they had been obliged to camp when they could, but at least it had been dry. "You think you'll soon be June," grumbled Bilbo, as he splashed along behind the others in a very muddy track. It was after tea time, it was pouring with rain, and had been all day. His hood was dripping into his eyes, his cloak was full of water, the pony was tired and stumbled on stones. The others were too grumpy to talk. "And I'm sure the rain has got into the dry coals and into the food bags," thought Bilbo. "Bother burgling and everything to do with it. I wish I was at home in my nice hole by the fire, with the kettle just beginning to sing." It was not the last time that he wished that. Still, the dwarves jogged on, never turning round or taking any notice of the Hobbit. Somewhere behind the great clouds the sun must have gone down, for it began to get dark as they went down into a deep valley with a river at the bottom. Wind got up, and willows along its banks banked and sighed. Fortunately, the road went over an ancient stone bridge, for the river, swollen with the rains, came rushing down from the hills and mountains in the north. It was clearly night when they had crossed over. The wind broke up the great clouds, and a wandering moon appeared above the hills between the flying rags. Then they stopped, and Thorin muttering something about supper. "And where shall we get a dry patch to sleep on?" Not until then did they notice that Gandalf was missing. So far he had come all the way with them, never saying he was in the adventure or merely keeping them company for a while. He had eaten most, talked most, and laughed most, but now he was simply not there at all. "Just when a wizard would have been most useful too," groaned Dorian Norrie, who shared the Hobbit's view about regular meals plenty enough. They decided in the end that they would have to camp where they were. They moved to a clump of trees, and though it was drier under them, the wind shook the reins off the leaves, and then drip drip was the most annoying. Also, the mischief seemed to have got into the fire. Dwarves can make a fire almost anywhere, out of almost anything, wind or no wind, but they could not do it that night. Not even Owen and Gloin, who were especially good at it. Then one of the ponies took fright at nothing and bolted. He got into the river before they could catch him, and before they could get him out again, Fili and Kili were nearly drowned, and all the baggage that he carried was washed away off him. Of course, it was mostly food, and there was mighty little left for supper and less for breakfast. There they all sat glum and wet and muttering, while Owen and Gloin went on trying to light the fire and quarreling about it. Bilbo was sadly reflecting that adventures are not all pony rides in May sunshine. When Bali was always their lookout man said, "There's a light over there!" There was a hill some way off with trees on it, pretty thick in parts. Out of the dark mass of the trees, they could now see a light shining, a reddish comfortable looking light, as it might be a fire or torches twinkling. When they had looked at it for some while, they fell to arguing. Some said no, and some said yes. Some said they could but go and see, and anything was better than a little supper, less breakfast, and wet clothes all the night. Others said, "These parts are not too well known, and are too near the mountains. Travelers seldom come this way now. The old maps are no use. Things have changed for the worse, and the road is unguarded. They have seldom even heard of the king around here, and the less inquisitive you are as you go along, the less trouble you are likely to find." Some said, "After all, there are 14 of us," others said. "Where has Gandalf got you?" This remark was repeated by everybody. Then the rain began to pour down worse than ever, and Owen and Gloin began to fight. That settled it. "After all, we have got a burglar with us," they said, and so they made off, leading their ponies, without due and proper caution, in the direction of the light. They came to the hill and were soon in the wood. Up the hill they went, but there was no proper path to be seen, such as might lead to a house or a farm. And do what they could, they made a deal of rustling and crackling and creaking, and a good deal of grumbling and grunting as they went through the trees in the pitch dark. Suddenly, the red light shone out very bright through the stream trunks, not ahead. Now it is the burglar's turn, they said, meaning Bilbo. You must go on and find out all about that light, and what it is for, and if it all is perfectly safe and canny, said Thorin to the Hobbit. Scuttle off, and come back quick if all is well. If not, come back if you can. If you can't, hoot twice like a barn owl, and once like a screech owl, and we do what we can. Off Bilbo had to go. Before he could explain that he could not hoot even once like any kind of wall owl, any more than fly like a bat. But at any rate, hobbits can move quietly in woods, absolutely quietly. They take a pride in it, and Bilbo had sniffed more than once at what he calls all this dwarvish racket as they went along, though I don't suppose you or I would have noticed anything at all on a windy night, not if the whole cavalcade had passed 2 feet off. As for Bilbo, walking primly towards the red light, I don't suppose even a weasel would have stirred a whisker at it. So, naturally, he got right up to the fire, for fire it was, without disturbing anyone. And this is what he saw. 3 very large persons sitting around a very large fire of beech logs. They were roasting mutton on long spits of wood, and licking the gravy off their fingers. There was a fine, toothsome smell. Also, there was a barrel of good drink at hand, and they were drinking out of jugs. But they were trolls. Obviously trolls. Even Bilbo, in spite of his sheltered life, could see that. From the great heavy faces of them, and their size, and the shape of their legs, not to mention their language, which was not drawing room fashion at all. At all. Mutton yesterday, mutton yesterday, mutton today, and blimey, if you don't look like mutton again tomorrow, said one of the trolls. Never a blinking bit of man-flesh have we had for a long enough, said a second. What the hell William was a thinking of to bring us into these parts at all, beats me. And the drinking running short, what's more, he said, jogging the elbow of William, who was taking a pull at his jug. William choked. A troll named William is a curious thing. William. PDF? What's going on? PDF is frozen. For some reason. Can you stop? William choked. Shut your mouth, he said as soon as he could. You can't expect folk to stop here forever just to be by your side. And Bert. You've at a village and a half between here, and since we come down from the mountains, how much more do you want? And time's being up our way, when you have said thank you, Bill, for a nice bit of fat valley mutton, like what is this? He took a big bite off a sheep's leg he was roasting, and wiped his lips on his sleeve. Okay, the PDF is actually frozen. Let me just fucking end this misery. Goodbye, PDF. Hello, PDF. Page 40. Let me try again, because they have a thick accent and it's kind of difficult to say that. Shut your mouth, he said as soon as he could. You can't expect folk to stop here forever just to be ate by you and burnt. You've at a village and a half between here since we come down from the mountain. How much more do you want? And times be up our way when you'd have said thank you, Bill, for a bit nice so fat valley mutton like what is this? He took a big bite of sheep's leg he was roasting, and wiped his lips on his sleeve. Yes, I'm afraid trolls do behave like that, even those with only one head each. After hearing all this, Bilbo ought to have done something at once. Either he should have gone back quietly and warned his friends that there were 3 fire-sized straws at hand in a nasty mood, quite likely to try roasted dwarf, or even pony for a chase, or else he should have gone a bit of good burgling. Good quick burgling. A really first class and legendary burglar would at this point have picked the troll's pockets. It is nearly always worthwhile if you can manage him. Pinched the very mutton off the pits, purloined the beer, and walked off without their notice him. Others more practical but with less professional pride would perhaps have struck a dagger into each of them before they observed it. Then the night could have been spent cheerily. Bilbo needed it. Bilbo knew it. He had read of a good many things he had never seen or done. He was very much alarmed, as well as disgusted. He wished himself 100 miles away, and yet somehow he could not go straight back to Tori and company empty-handed. So he stood and hesitated in the shadows. Of the various burglarious proceedings he had heard of, picking the troll's pocket seemed the least difficult, so at least he crept behind the tree just behind William. Bert and Tom went off to the barrow. William was having another drink. Then Bilbo plucked up courage and put his little hand in William's enormous pocket. There was a purse in it, as big as a bag to Bilbo. He thought he, warming to his new work as he lifted it carefully out. This is the beginning. It was. Trolls' purses are the mischief, and this was no exception. Here, who are you? It squeaked as he left the pocket, and William turned around at once and grabbed Bilbo by the neck before he could duck behind the tree. Blimey bird, look what I've copped, said William. What is it? Said the others, coming up. Loom! If I knows, what are ye? Bilbo Baggins, a hobbit, said poor Bilbo, shaking all over and wondering how to make owl noises before they throttle him. A hobbit? Said they, a bit startled. Trolls are slow in the uptake, and mighty suspicious about anything new to them. What's a hobbit got to do with my pocket anyways, said William. And can you cook 'em? Said Tom. You can try, said Burke, picking up a skewer. He'll make above a mouthful, said William, who had already had a fine supper. Not when he was skin and bone. Perhaps there are more like him around about. And we might make a pie, said Burke. Here you, are there any more of your sort of sneaking these here woods, you nasty little rabbit? Said he, looking at the hobbit's furry feet, and he picked up by the toes and shook him. Yes, laws, said Bilbo before he remembered not to give his brains away. No, not at all. Not one, he said immediately afterward. What do you mean, said Bert, holding him right away up, by the hair this time. What I say, said Bilbo, gasping. And please don't cook me, kind sirs. I'm a good cook myself and cook better than I cook. If you see what I mean, I'll cook beautifully for you. A perfectly beautiful breakfast for you, if only you won't have me for supper. Poor little blighter, said William. He had already had as much supper as he could hold. Also, he had had lots of beer. Poor little blighter, let him go. Not he says what he means by lots and not at all, said Bert. I don't want to have me throat cut in his sleep. Hold his toes in the fire till he's talked. I won't have it, said William. I caught him anyway. You're a fat fool, William, said Bert, as I've said afore this evening, and you're a lout. And I won't take that from you, Bill Huggins, says Bert, and put his fist in William's eye. Then there was a gorgeous row. Bilbo had just enough wits left when Bert dropped him on the ground to scramble out of the way of their feet, before they were fighting like dogs, and calling one another all sorts of perfectly true and applicable names in very loud voices. Soon they were locked in one another's arms and rolling nearly into the fire, kicking and thumping while Tom walked at them both with a branch to bring them to their senses. And that, of course, only made them madder than ever. That would have been the time for Bilbo to have left, but his poor little feet had been very squashing Bert's big paw. Another yawn. And he had no breath in his body, and his head was going round. So there he lay for a while panting, just outside the circle of firelight. Right in the middle of the fight, up came Balin. The dwarves had heard noises from a distance, and after waiting for some time for Bilbo to come back, or to hoot like an owl, they started off one by one to creep towards the light as quietly as they could. No sooner did Tom see Balin come into the light than he gave awful howl. Trolls simply detest the very sight of dwarves uncooked. Bert and Bill stopped fighting immediately and, "A sack, Tom, quick!" they said, before Baggin, who was wondering where in all this commotion Bilbo was, knew what was happening. A sack was over his head, and he was down. "There's more to come yet," said Tom. "One mighty mistook. Lots and none at all with this," he said. "No burra hobbits, but lots of these here dwarves. That's about the shape of it." "I reckon you're right," said Bert. "And you best get out of the light." And so they did. With sacks in their hands they used for carrying off mutton and plunder and other plunder, they waited in the shadows. As each dwarf came up and looked up at the fire and the spilled jugs and the gnome mutton, in surprise, pop went a nasty smelly sack over his head, and he was down. Soon Dwalling lay by Baggin and Philly and Killy together, and Dorian, Nori and Ori all in a heap, and Owen, Gloin, Bifur and Beaufort and Bombur piled uncomfortable near the fire. "Salutation," said Tom, for Beaufort and Bombur had given a lot of trouble, and fought like mad as dwarves will one corner. Thorin came last, and was not caught unawares. He came expecting mischief, and didn't need to see his friend's legs sticking out the sacks to tell him that things were not all well. He stood outside in the shadows, some way off, and said, "What's all this trouble? Who has been knocking my people about?" "It's trolls," said Bilbo from behind that tree. They'd forgotten all about him. "They're hiding in the bushes with sacks," said he. "Oh, are they?" said Thorin. He jumped toward forward to the fire before they could leap on him. He caught up a big branch on fire at one end, and Bert got that end in his eye before he could step aside, tap him out of the battle for a bit. Bilbo did his best. He caught hold of Tom's leg as well as he could. He was thick as a young tree trunk, but he was sent spinning up into the top of some bushes when Tom kicked up the sparks up in Thorin's face. Tom got the branch in his teeth for that and lost one of the front ones. It made him howl, I can tell you. But just at that moment, William came up behind and popped a sack right over Thorin's head and down to his toes. And so the fight ended. A nice people they were all we now, all neatly tied up in sacks, with 3 angry trolls, and 2 with burns and bashes, you remember, sitting by them, arguing whether they should roast them slowly or mix them fine and boil them, or just sit on them one by one and squash them into jelly. And Bilbo up in a bush, with his clothes and his skin torn, not dare to move for fear they should hear him. This picture is quite nice. The trolls hiding in the corner, I guess, and this should be like Thorin. Maybe the other dwarves are over here. There's some barrels over here. I kinda like these drawings. It was just then that Gandalf came back, but no one saw him. The trolls had just decided to roast the dwarves now and eat them later. That was Bert's idea, and after a lot of argument they had all agreed to it. "No good roasting him now. It'll take all night," said a voice. Bert thought it was William's. "Don't start the argument all over, Bill," he said, "or it will take all night." "Who's arguing?" said William, who thought it was Bert that had spoken. "You are," said Bert. "You're a liar," said William, and so the argument began all over again. In the end, they decided to mix them fine and boil them, so they got a great black pot, and they took out their knives. "Not good boiling them. We ain't got no water, and it's a long way to the well and all," said a voice. Bert and William thought it was Tom. "Shut up," said they. "Or we'll never have done. And you can fetch the water yourself if you say anymore." "Shut up yourself," said Tom, who thought it was William's voice. "Who's arguing but you? I'll let you know." "You're a booby," said William. "Booby yourself," said Tom. And so the argument began all over again, and went on hotter than ever, until at last they decided to sit on the sacks one by one and squash them and boil them next time. "Who shall we sit on first?" said the voice. "Better sit on the last fellow first," said Bert, whose eye had been damaged by Thorin. He thought Tom was talking. "Don't talk to yourself," said Tom. "But if you want to sit on the last one, sit on him. Which is he?" "The one with the yellow stockings," said Bert. "Nonsense, the one with the grey stockings," said a voice like William's. "I made sure it was yellow," said Bert. "Yellow it was," said William. "Then what did you say it was grey for?" said Bert. "I never did. Tom said it." "That I never did," said Tom. "It was you." "You won, so shut your mouth," said Bert. "Who are you talking to?" said William. "Now stop it," said Tom and Bert together. "The night's getting on, and dawn comes early. Let's get on with it." Don't take you all, and be stoned to you," said a voice that sounded like Gideon's, but it wasn't. For just at a moment, the light came over the hill, and there was a mighty twitter in the branches. William never spoke, for he stood turned to stone as he stopped. Jesus Christ. William never spoke, for he stood turned to stone as he stooped, and Bert and Tom were stuck like rocks as they looked at him. And there they stand to this day, all alone, unless their birds perch on them. For trolls, as you probably know, must be underground before dawn, or they go back to the top of the mountains they are made of, and never move again. That is what had happened to Bert and Tom and William. "Excellent," said Gandalf as he stamped from behind a tree, and helped Bilbo to climb down the thorn brush. Then Bilbo understood. It was the wizard's voice that had kept the trolls bickering and quarreling, until the light came and made an end of them. The next thing was to untie the sacks and let out the dwarves. They were nearly suffocated and very annoyed. They had not at all enjoyed lying there and listening to the trolls making plans for roasting them and squashing them and mincing them. They had to hear Bilbo's account of what had happened to him twice over before they were satisfied. "Silly time to go practicing pinching and pocket pinching," said Bomber, "when what we wanted was fire and food." "And that's just what you wouldn't have got of those fellows without a struggle, in any case," said Gandalf. "Anyhow, you're wasting time now. Don't you realize that trolls must have a cave or a hole dug somewhere near to hide from the sun in? You must look into it." They searched about and soon found the marks of trolls' stony boots going away through the trees. They followed the tracks up the hill until, hidden by bushes, they came on a big door of stone leading to a cave, but they could not open. Not though they all pushed while Gandalf tried various incantations. "Would those be any good?" Bilbo asked when they were getting tired and angry. "I found it on the ground where the trolls had their fight. They had all a largish key, though no doubt William had thought it very small and secret. He must have fallen out of his pocket, very luckily, before he was turned to stone." "Why on earth did you mention it before?" they cried. Gandalf grabbed it and fit it into the keyhole. Then the stone door was swung back with one big push, and they all went inside. There were bones on the floor and a nasty smell was in the air, but there was a good deal of food jumbled carelessly on shelves and on the ground, among an untidy litter of plunder, of all sorts, from brass buttons to pots full of gold coins standing in a corner. There were lots of clothes, too, hanging on the walls, too small for trolls, I'm afraid. They belonged to victims, and among them were several swords of various makeshapes and sizes. Two caught their eyes particularly because of their beautiful scabbards and jeweled hilts. Gandalf and Tori each took one of these, and Bilbo took a knife in a leather sheath. It would have made only a tiny pocket knife for a troll, but it was as good as a short sword for the Hobbit. "These looks like good blades," said the wizard, half drawing them and looking at them curiously. "They are not made by any troll, nor by any smith among men in these parts and days. But when we can read the runes on them, we shall know more about them." "Let's get out of this horrible smell," said Philly. But they carried out the pots of coins, and such food as was untouched and looked fit to eat. Also one barrel of ale, which was still full. By that time they felt like breakfast, and being very hungry, they did not turn their noses up at what they had got from the troll's larder. Their own provisions were scanty. Now they had bread and cheese and plenty of ale, and bacon to toast in the embers of the fire. After that they slept, for the night had been disturbed, and they did nothing more till the afternoon. Then they brought up their ponies and carried away the pots of gold, and buried them very secretly not far from the track by the river, putting a great many spells over them, just in case they ever had the chance to come back and recover them. When that was done, they all mounted once more and jogged along again on the path towards the east. "Where did you go to, if I may ask?" said Thorin to Gandalf as they rode along. "To look ahead," said he. "And what brought you back in the nick of time?" "Looking behind," said he. "Exactly," said Thorin. "But could you be more plain?" "I went out to spy out our road." It'll soon become dangerous and difficult. Also, was anxious about replenishing your small stock of provisions. I had not gone very far, however, when I met a couple of friends of mine from Rivendell. Where's that? People asked. Don't interrupt, said Gandalf. You'll get there in a few days now, if you're lucky, and find out all about it. As I was saying, I met two of Elrond's people. They were hurrying along for fear of the trolls. It was they who told me that 3 of them had come down from the mountains and settled in the woods not far from the road. They had frightened everyone away from the district, and they waylaid strangers. I immediately had a feeling that I was wanted back. Looking behind, I saw a fire in the distance and made for it. So now you know. Please be more careful next time, or we shall never get anywhere. Thank you, said Thorin. In chapter 3, a short rest, but we reached time limit. It's time to go. My throat is getting tired. Very tired. It is a lot more intense to read like this. So, this is basically, yeah, the healthy limit for me. Anymore, and my throat to be in danger. So, I'm gonna look for someone to raid now. Now, who do I raid? I'm quite enjoying this book. Quite enjoying reading. It is very pleasant. Thank you for the hand pattern. I appreciate it a lot. Riding the pink inside of the fur of my ear. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for looking. Thank you for talking. Thank you for watching. Yeah, it is a lot more pleasant than the boring book streams, but the study streams were necessary. They helped me a lot, so I am not sad to have done them at all. Now, let's see. We are actually at 48 pages out of 270. How many chapters there is in this book? Or 50 pages out of 270. There is 14 chapters. 19 chapters. That is a lot. We went over 3. No, 2 chapters only. But I wasted like half an hour. Just not doing much. So we're gonna take a few. But I think these chapters are short because we got like 50 pages. 48 pages. Yeah, that's a lot of pages for the book. But I don't know, 4 or 5 streams maybe. We'll see how long it takes, and then hopefully by then I'll still be willing to read, still feeling like read, and then I'll read a Discworld book, because Discworld feels very interesting and unique and novel, and it could be a good inspiration for me. Let me see. Yeah, it's a good way to train pronunciation. Not exactly correct pronunciation, but train me to speak more clearly, because I know sometimes I garble words, sometimes I go a little bit low, pronounce it incorrectly, but it is a good training. It is an interesting stream for me. I wish I could do more, but it's also very tiring, so I can't really do more. I won't do more. Now, for the schedule, tomorrow we have game. We have more Against the Storm. Comfy city building to the rain. Saturday there is Hexen. No. Friday there is AI art. Gonna finish a list and then redo Grammary. Not exactly redo, they're just uplift her. Saturday there is Hexen. Been a long time since I played this game. I hope I didn't forget any. I forgot everything about the map, so I hope I don't really get lost too badly in Hexen, because it's been some time since I played it. And then Sunday we have Lapis Thursday. Lapis Sunday with we finally finished Lords of Darkness, Diablo 2, and I'm not sure if you continue playing at a higher difficulty, or if you just fucking spam calls, or if you just start a new game or play something else. Who knows? It is a mystery game after we finish Diablo. Now, I think I'm gonna read Mog, playing V Rising. Not exactly my my choice, but of a game, but it's an interesting one to see. I haven't actually heard that much about it. So so I learned something. Yeah, it's a MMO. I don't really play too many MMOs aside from Final Fantasy 13. Not exactly an MMO, is it? Like it's a weird hybrid or something. The Rising. It's also like a game with house building or something. Pretty unique. No. Oh no, I actually feel like I might get a headache. Uh-oh. I really do need to rest now. I really need to rest my eyes before I get a headache. So take care of your waifus, take care of your husbandos. I'll see you all next time. Is your raid message? This should be a multiplayer survival hack and slash. Yeah, something like that. Feels it is a weird blend of V Rising is a weird blend. Thank you again for the head pat. Third, yep, I'm definitely gonna rest. Now bye bye. See you all next time.